Okay, now we're going to measure the distance between each electrode in the frontopolar transverse plane and the occipital transverse plane, okay? So the distance between the FP1 and FP2 should be 10% of the head circumference distance, okay? 10%, okay? So from here to here, FP1 and FP2 should be 10% of the head circumference difference, okay? So if you remember, when we did the FP1 on this side and FP1 on this side, it was 10% of half the distance of the head, right? On each side. Well, that actually 10% of half the distance and 10% of half the distance here is actually 10% of the whole distance, okay? So since the circumference of the head was 55 centimeters, then the distance between FP1 and FP2 should be about 5.5 centimeters, which is 10% of 55. So let's go ahead and measure that. And I get exactly 5.5 centimeters, okay, from FP1 to FP2. And the same thing in the back, between O1 and O2, the distance between O1 and O2 should be 10% of the circumference measurement, which would be 5.5 again, 5.5 centimeters. And here I have about 5.7, okay? So that's 10% here, 10% here. If you remember that, let's remember that. That's 10% here and 10% here. That's 20%. Now let's go ahead and do the go around the left temporal plane. Okay, so between each electrode in the left temporal plane should be 10% of the head circumference distance. Okay, so between FP1 and F7 should be 5.5 centimeters, and it should continue on like that. From F7 to T3, it should be 5.5 centimeters. From T3 to T5, it should be 5.5 centimeters. And then from T5 to O1, it should be 5.5 centimeters, okay? So let's take a look at that. Let's measure that. Okay, this is about 5.6 here. So this is 10% here. Of the head circumference difference, that's 5.6. From F7, so that was from FP1 to F7. From F7 to T3, it's 5.5 centimeters. From T3 to T5, it is about 5.7 centimeters, or 10% of the head circumference. And then from T5 to O1, it is 5.3, okay? So again, it's another 10%. Okay, so now if we take the frontopolar transverse plane, that's 10%, and we keep going around, that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And then if we go from O1 to O2, another 10%, that's 60. So now if we go to the right temporal plane, if we keep going in between each electrode and just, 10%, that'd be 70, 80, 90, 100%. So between each electrode on the circumference going around the head, is the distance between each electrode is 10% of the circumferential measurement, okay? So if we go from FP2 to F8, it should be about 5.5. It's about 5.6, or 10%. From F8 to T4, it should be 5.5, and it's about exactly 5.5, or 10%. From T4 to T6, it should be about 10%. It's about 5.4 centimeters. And from T6 to O2, it should be 5.5, and it's about 5.5 and a half, or 5.6, or 10%. So now if you add up all the percentages around the circumference of the head, it'll equal 100%. 100% of the circumferential distance. Okay, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. Okay? Again, so between each electrode on the circumference of the head, going around the bottom of the head in a circle around, or an oval, it should be 10% of the circumferential distance between each electrode. In this case, it should be 5.5 centimeters.